Hey, welcome everybody to Pro Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Craig Domann. I show up every week. Today on our show, we have a guest by way of Canada. His name is Gordon Melville. Gordon D. Melville. Gordon is one of one. He's a certified catalyst, strategist, guide, and mentor. He's an accomplished author. He's a speaker. He has his own podcast. What don't you do, Gordy?
It's a short list.
Well, we had the pleasure of doing a discovery call last week that probably should have been a podcast,
Probably.
right? And I like to ask my guests, some fun facts. What's one thing you'd like to share with our audience that's a fun fact?
Fun fact. Well, you and I were talking, jumped out of a perfectly good plane that was going to land anyway 288 times.
Okay, so you've only jumped out of an airplane 288 times. I'm still looking for my first time.
We might do it this summer. I'll call you. We'll get together and do that.
What is the difference between the first time and the 288th time?
The first time you're tandem, so you're attached to somebody else, and you have no idea what to expect. So your mind runs in 1,000 directions, none of which are good. So that's the first time. The last two times were halo jumps, high altitude, low opening jumps with the military in El Paso. So we were at 43,000 feet with oxygen strapped on. But you know what? It's a thrill every single time. There's no two jumps that are exactly the same. So it's, it's still exhilarating. It's still something that gets my adrenaline flowing when you do that, but lots and lots and lots of fun.
Okay, so you've got about 77 more times to do an entire year's worth of jumping out of airplanes. Holy smokes. Okay, so I want to go to that headspace. As soon as you step off the plane's fine. It's flying. It's got gas. The engines are working. And you literally jump out and you go into this free fall. Where does your heart go? Where does your mind go? And that adrenaline exhilaration, give us your best shot of explaining it.
You know what? It's a weird thing because all of the BS in your life disappears pretty much instantly. So, I'm a big choice guy, right? We choose to be where we are. We choose where we're at. And I find it very interesting. You have to choose to step out of the plane. But the first time, if you ever do it, they will say to you, your tandem is behind you. And they'll say to you, hey, you got your goggles on and they're getting ready. And they're like, we're going to count to 3 and then we're going to jump. And you're like, okay. And you 1, and out you go. And I'm like, wait a second, where was 1? Where was 2 and 3? And they're like, well, if we wait to go to 2 and 3, you'll change your mind. And then your hands go to the side you'll stop us from jumping out. So once you get past that, then it's, once you're out of the plane, I'll never forget the first time because we're falling and all the crap that you think is important to you, right? All the things that you think are so important, they just disappear. And you end up with one thing in your brain that says, hey, you know what? This is the important thing. What's the most important? All I could think about was my wife. It was the only thing I could think about when I finally jumped out, right? And, everybody's life has crap in it. Everybody's life has good things and bad things and whatever, but all the things we struggle with, all of that went away. And every time I've done it, exactly the same thing happens. Because you sort of go, well, if my chute doesn't open and my backup doesn't open, I'm going to pancake, in which case it could be probable, no, but it could be, right? And so your brain goes, okay, so it drains all the crap out, right? It's like resetting yourself. You land and you go, okay, yeah, it's awesome. That was one fun. I'd do that again. I can't wait to do that again. But you know what? It recalibrates yourself in the moment, and you're like, okay, all that stuff that I was worried about before we went up in that plane is now gone. I think it's very telling when they do studies about skydiving in particular in terms of what we think could happen. So when you do your little class piece where they teach you what's going to happen and, this is what we're going to do. And just so you're ready for what's up there. But as we do that, they put heart monitors on people that are in that class. And as they tell them what's going to happen, their heart rate goes up. And then as they walk out on the tarmac, their heart rate goes up. And as the plane goes up, so does their heart rate, right? But the weirdest thing happens when they step out of the plane. It goes down. The heart rate goes down. How come? Because it was that anticipation of what could happen. We rob ourselves of being present right here, right now. It's a gift. It's called the present, literally, right? But we rob ourselves of being able to do that when we're worried and anxious about what's going to happen in the future. Am I going to have enough money? What's going to happen with my kids? How am I going to pay the bill? Whatever it is, we get anxious about all of that future stuff that 99.9% is not going to happen anyway. And we rob ourselves from being right here, right now.
Gord, How can you and how do you replicate that same process of being fully present, diving into the moment, diving into this interview, being all locked in, not thinking about what you got to do after this, not thinking about your to-do list that you got the rest of the day, not thinking about how people are going to perceive you or think of you? How do you do that without jumping out of a plane?
That's practice. Because a lot of times, to the point of what people are going to think, I don't care. I really don't. Because certain people are going to suck right onto it and go, oh, this is awesome. And some people are going to go, oh, he's full of poop. Okay. But I'm going to have both regardless. It doesn't matter what I say. I'm going to have somebody agree and disagree. So if that's the case, I'm just going to be me, and however it happens, it happens. Papa's going to bring me where I need to go. But it takes practice to be able to go. We all had lives and stuff coming into this interview. We all had stuff going on in our life where we rush around and get stuff done and all things we have to get happen. And we've all got stuff going on later. But when I'm intentional about shutting it all off. So there was a baseball movie with Kevin Costner, which is a shark. He's only done 15 baseball movies. But anyway, one of them was about a pitcher. And he says to out loud, or in his brain at the beginning, but he goes, clear the mechanism when he's on the mound, right? And everything just disappears except the pitcher's mitt, right? And it's all that he can see is the pitcher's mitt. Everything else is gone. The sound goes away, all the yelling and screaming, and everything goes away. And I don't say the same thing, but it's kind of that same idea that goes, you know what? Everything else is gone. There's nothing but you and me and Papa is the only thing that's here. Whatever audience is going to, we can't control that. Well, whoever's going to pay attention and listen, they're going to do that. At the end of the day, you know what? I can't control that. I can control me, and that's it. So I give that to Papa and go, you know what? I'm going to focus. I'm going to give myself the gift of focusing right here, right now. But that takes practice because it's very difficult, right? Same as meditating. People, oh, I can't meditate. My brain runs in 1,000 directions. Yeah, so does mine. I've been doing it for 20 years and it's still all over the place, right? So being able to learn how to, it's a journey, right? We keep talking, you and I keep talking about that. It's a journey. It's like really a guy thing to go, oh, I solved that problem, so I don't have to think about it again. It's like, no, that's not how this works. You have to think about it again. And it's daily, and sometimes it's every second because as stuff pops in, you got to go, hey, no, 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 no. Craig is the only thing in my mind right now. This is the only thing I got going on. And when other stuff comes in, you just push it out. Learn mastery control, learn tools. And I teach 7 levels of emotional intelligence for men, literally giving them tools and strategies to be able to do what we're talking about. Because if I don't have mind mastery, I have nothing. You're a pro athlete. You look after pro athletes. You understand that space. But if their brain is all over the place, the people that you and I know, or that you could say, hey, what you throw out a name and I go, yeah, I know who that is. Even if I don't follow that sport, even if I still know the name. The only reason we both know that name is because that person has achieved mind mastery, emotional mastery. They control themselves to a point that it's so ridiculous that they set themselves apart from everybody else. And that's, I have a card here in front of me that says, want to be, I get that from Michael Jordan. I want to be uncommon among men. I want to be uncommon among, right? When Tim Grover was sitting in 1992 in that dressing room with the dream team, and he's looking around that room, uncommon men, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Robinson, like Hall of Fame. Yeah, right. They were the guy on their own team, right? But as he looked around the room and he got over to Jordan was sitting in the corner by himself and he went, yep, uncommon among uncommon men. He stood out even among people that were his peers that were uncommon. They were amazing, Hall of Fame, and he still sticks out amongst the rest. And that's not a pride thing. I want to make sure that I'm a billboard for Papa. So if I'm uncommon among uncommon, I'm sticking out. Papa is shining through. I talk a lot about being a lighthouse, right? And so through the storm, you can see the light, and you don't always see the light because it's spinning. So it's looking out for everybody, right? But every once in a while, oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. That's Papa shining out for the men in my life. And when they see that, they go, oh, yep, no, there's Papa, there's Gord. I'm okay, right? The storms are happening, whatever. If they have to call into it, they do. But if they connect with it, they do. But it's absolutely a practiced skill. It's not something that just happens on its own.
Okay, I got to interject a couple things. Who in the heck is Papa? You've brought up Papa a couple different times.
I have. I'm sorry. I call God Papa because of my relationship with him.
Okay, so Papa is God. I like that. And then you talked about being uncommon among uncommon. Okay. That's the elite of the elite. If you could write a description of people like MJ, what's the separator between them and the uncommon others? Because all of them are like unique, special, elite performers and people. But what's the, if you could say there was one thing different, what's the one thing?
The one thing would be mindset. The one thing would be, I'm certified as a high performance coach, a high performance mentor. But everybody, and you know that as well as I do, everybody that's in pro ranks, they're drafted, they're pro. Everybody's elite. Everybody's high performance. So that's not the differentiator, right? So uncommon among uncommon, the uncommon, they got, what percentage of athletes actually get to pro, to that level, NBA, NFL, whatever, right? 2%, 1%, something stupid, right?
Yeah,
The
one
weird
tenth of
thing is,
1%.
sorry?
1/10 of 1%.
Absolutely. But the numbers hold true for pro athletes as they do for the rest of the population. Less than 3%, less than 3% of the population does any kind of personal development. Less than 3% of the less than 1% do any kind of personal development. That's why we know who they are. So, Jordan, it's a mindset. It was drive. Kobe, it's drive. Tiger Woods, it's drive. Gretzky, it's drive. There's an extra gear. When I talk now, I'm certified as a high performance, but I don't call myself high performance anymore. I call myself champion, because there's a switch you have to flip. They're all high performance. They're not all champions, right? And then it becomes a who's the best of the best of the. We all talk and laugh and debate about the GOAT, no matter what the sport is, right? Well, what are we using as the differentiator between, because it could be statistics, it could be impact on the game, it can be lots of different things that can dictate what GOAT is. But the guys that don't have to say, hey, I'm the GOAT. Jordan's never ever said, I'm the best that's ever played. That's never come out of his mouth ever. Other people tell him, you're the best that's ever played, right? And so that differentiator is his mindset. It's Kobe's mindset, that drive that goes, no, I'm not going to let anybody else dictate my success or failure. I'm going to have my own way to think about everything, a way about life, the way I operate, how I show up is something completely different than anybody else. And they don't let anybody else dictate, right? So they have Kobe at the beginning of his career was doing 4 a day practices, 7 days a week, on top of whatever the team asked him to do, on top of game day for
He
5
showed up at 4
years.
o'clock in the morning and shot like 500 to 1,000 shots.
Right. Like he would do stuff that nobody else, and he did that for 5 years. If it wasn't basketball related, he didn't do it. He didn't date. He lived, breathed, everything with basketball. If it didn't get him closer to that goal, which is, I find was very interesting, because when they interviewed him, or his coach at one point, it wasn't Phil, it was somebody else that they had interviewed and said, why is he such a prick to all his own teammates? And they went, I don't know, we'll find out. So his coach went and asked, why are you like that? And he goes, well, I don't respect the work ethic. I see them come in 5 minutes before practice. I see them leave right after practice. They punch a clock. The work ethic isn't there. And so when they were talking about it, he said, getting to the NBA was not the goal. I want to get to the big show. I got to get to the NBA. I got to get to the NFL. That was the goal. He said, that was never my goal. The goal was to be the best that's ever played the game. Getting to the NBA or NFL or whatever was just the first step. That was a natural thing. It had to happen anyway. That wasn't special, right? But then he kept pushing once he got there, and most of them stopped pushing. Mindset.
Okay, so you've worked with professional athletes, you coach people, you work with lots of different people about high performance. What is the blind spot that you see, especially with athletes? They think they're doing it and they're not, or they don't know they should do it. And if they did, it would make all the difference in the world. What's that? I'm a person that sees change as one thing at a time. If anybody's listening and they just want to be in a better place, they want to be more successful, they want to have more abundance, they want to show up at a higher level, they want people to see them and respect them differently, higher, better. It starts with one, the power of one. What's the one thing that you have consistently seen is the difference maker between the people that have it and the ones that don't?
I can steal a question from a Navy SEAL instructor. He gets asked a similar type thing, and his answer is always, you tell me what scares you and I'll tell you what will stop you from getting where you want to go. Because it's different for everybody, right? The one thing for me is probably completely different for you, right? Something that I find easy may be difficult for you, and vice versa. Something you go, oh yeah, this is no big deal, and I go, no, I struggle so hard with that. So it's, for me, it becomes a, what's the one thing that scares you in your life? What's the one thing that essentially, what's your greatest fear? Because it's going to get in the way, right? And like I say, it's different for everybody. It's not the same for everybody.
Okay. So everybody that's listening and myself, we know what that is. What do we do now? What's the first step?
And they go, why? I said, because as soon as you get that out on the page, you're going to think of another thing that's even more scary, and you're going to write that down. And then you're going to find another one. Oh, wait, there's this. And then, oh, wait, there's this. And you'll end up with a list. And the more you allow yourself to go into that space, the more honest you are with yourself. It's really insidious. I've never found anybody so far that hasn't happened with. They come back and go, crap, I thought I knew. I had no idea.
Okay. So now we have this list. Are we looking for a theme? Are we looking for now?
Not necessarily. You're just looking to go as deep as you can. Be as honest, brutally honest. Because the one thing that we do a lot of times, that's why they say accountability, the best accountability is with somebody else. Because I can sell me, right? So having that accountability where I go, you know what? I'm going to sit down and be brutally honest with myself. I'm not going to try and sell myself on it something else. Something that I think maybe is acceptable, or something that I think, socially that's okay, or that doesn't matter. Being able to be brutally rip the Band-Aid off and just dive into that hole. And the deeper you can go into that hole, the deeper you can do that, the more open. And I know lots of guys go, I don't want to be vulnerable. Well, okay, then be open. Call it what you want. It's still vulnerable, but do it with yourself. At least don't lie to you, right? And so once you've got that list, what you're looking at is to go, okay, so then if that's the deepest fear, or even the other things that are on there, and I'm not talking about, spiders and heights and things like that. I'm talking deep stuff, right? The intangible stuff. So, but once I have that list, then I'm going, okay, so why am I scared of that? Where's the fuel underneath that one? Why does that scare me? Well, I have that fear because, I was abused as a child, or I couldn't seem to get it done, or, I was always told I wasn't enough. Whatever it is, it'll produce a fear in us, a paradigm in us. So what I want to know, what you want to know is, what's the fuel underneath that? Because as far as I'm concerned, and what I've found over the years, what I believe is going on is that and you and I talked about that a little bit last week, it's a symptom. A lot of the stuff is a symptom of the problem. It's not the problem. It's not the challenge. It's a symptom of the pain. And so we start to do other things to dull the pain, right? And some things are acceptable by society and some things are not, right? Depending on the circle you're in, drinking can be, that's an okay way to dull the pain. In some circles, that's fine. I can get completely blottoed. That's okay in some environments. And society goes, no, I get it. I understand. You're paining. But alcohol, drugs, gambling, porn, whatever it is, doesn't matter. The point is, you now have a vice on top of the problem. And a lot of times, if we leave it there long enough, we also have an addiction on top of the problem. And the addiction, there's a place for the 12-step program. I highly encourage that. But what I would suggest you do first is pull the fuel out, because that addiction is a symptom of the problem. It's not the problem. It just exasperates the problem, right? It makes it worse, right? But if I can find why I'm feeling that pain, why is that a fear? Why does that scare me? I can pull the power out of it. An interesting kind of a funny story. I don't like being scared, but I like watching horror movies. When they went to DVD and Blu-ray, it was the best thing for me, because they always put special features on a DVD or on a Blu-ray. So what I would do on a really scary movie, I want to see the movie, but I know it's going to scare the crap out of me. So what I'm going to do is watch the special features. How did they make the making of? So I watched the making of first. How did they do those scenes? Because then when I watch the movie, it's not scary, because I go, oh yeah, no, I know how to do it. That's so cool. Look, it looks real. But I've taken the fuel out from underneath the fear. It's not there anymore. So now it's a curiosity. What does that look like when they do it in the movie? Because I know what they did to get that. What does it look like in the movie? And so the fuel is completely different underneath it. And if I can remove the fuel, same as a fire, if I take the fuel away, the fire goes away. Right? If I take any one of the components out.
So really, it's not fear. It's not the fear itself that's the problem. It's the fuel behind the fear.
Exactly right.
That is the problem. And when we mask the fear,
right,
the fuel's still there.
Right. We're not honest with it. Right. We won't address it and go, no, this scares the hell out of me. We don't look at that, because when we do, we feel weak. right? We had talked about men are only really allowed two emotions. I'm fine and anger are the only two things we get that society says, yes, it's okay to have, right? But we look at guys and go, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? Because I said I was fine. All of a sudden I'm angry, right? But the challenge is all the other emotions are there. We feel all the other emotions, but it has a label for most of us and it's weak. I can't address that in public or anybody will see because that makes me feel weak. So when I'm afraid, I feel weak, right? And so then I don't even bring it up. I don't look at it. I don't even admit it's there to me, let alone to anybody else. And it hurts me.
Okay, let's take it to something everybody sees on TV in sports. Last night, the Cavs were eliminated from the NBA playoffs. Their best player, their marquee guy, had 3 free throws at the end of the game and missed all 3. Now, we could find a 7th grader, a 5th grader that can make 3 free throws in a row. Nobody's defending you. There's no time pressure. You got 10 seconds to shoot. The basket's not moving. Everybody's watching. He went 0 for 3. What is the emotion that you see that is very common for men, especially in sports and business, that prevents them from being successful? Meaning that they're either at the cusp of accomplishing their dream and they self-sabotage, or they're so close, but they see it slipping away and they can't stay in that fire of not knowing if it's going to happen. So they self-sabotage again. So it goes away. So maybe the better question might be, why can't we stay in the fire when we don't know what's going to happen?
Great question. Great question. And it has nothing to do with basketball or sports or life even. It keeps coming back to the same thing for me. It's still mindset. To your point, he knows exactly the mechanics of a free throw. That's not the problem, right? And the unknown, if we're going to allow ourselves, because it brings us back into an emotion. It brings us back to fear, right? I'm afraid of what I don't know. What could it be? I don't know. The thing is, 3 free throws from a professional screams, I have no mental mastery. I have no emotional mastery. Because if I did, right? If I did, you put LeBron, and I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but if you put LeBron on a free throw line, put Jordan on a free throw line, Kobe on a free throw line, they're playing basketball in their driveway with their kids. It doesn't matter that it's the 7th game of the finals and there's no time left and you're down by 2. Right, the NBA that game proved last night again. It's not about the skill; it's about the situation eclipsing them. In life, does the situation eclipse us? It's not that we don't know how to, lay concrete or talk to our kids, or we know what to do, but the situation eclipses us. One of my kids. I've got 3 sons, and a couple years ago, the middle one. And I'm and I've said this to you. I wrote it on our bedroom wall. My wife freaked out because we rent our home. She goes, you can't write that on the wall. I'm like, oh, I'll paint over it later. It's all good. But I need for me to understand and remember. So it says stimulus, pause, respond, and the pause is in great big massive letters, right? So stimulus is going to come. Weird stuff's going to happen. Life's going to happen. Stimulus is going to come. Word, deed, whatever. Stimulus is coming. We're the only living thing that Papa gifted the ability to pause. The only one. So if you have a pet, you have a cat or a dog or whatever, you step on their tail accidentally, do they have the capacity to go look at you and go, is Craig's intention towards me to be mean or not? No, they don't have that. So what happens? They instantly have a reaction. It's primal, right? We do that as humans, right? Stimulus comes. And because of our ego, because of whatever, we go, no, wait. And we have a visceral reaction, hugely emotional, probably without all the information. We have this reaction and we say things and do things we can't take back. And we hurt people and blow up relationships. For why? Because we didn't stop for a second and pause and go, wait. Can I take the emotion out of it first? Do I have all the information? Right? And because whether it takes seconds or it takes weeks or months or whatever, when I pause and then respond, now it doesn't have the emotion and it's got logic attached to it. So I'm responding. Reaction, respond are not the same. Reaction is primal. And so my son, 2 weeks after he got his driver's license, we were having dinner after Father's Day. And my wife says to my son, you need to tell him. And I'm like, what? You need to tell him. Tell him what?
Gordon?
Yep.
Okay. For like the last 30 seconds, the Wi-Fi connection's been a little suspect.
Okay.
Is your Wi-Fi good?
It seems to be okay.
Okay, you're back to normal now. I'm going
Yep,
to mark
I've got
down the
Wi-Fi.
time here just so that my editor can take that out. Okay, can I respond to that
Sure,
or add to it?
sure.
Your description of stimulus, pause before, that's almost like pause before you speak, before
Right.
you respond, before you
Yep.
react, will save your marriage.
Amen.
It will improve your relationship with your kids. They'll need less therapy later.
Right. It's better communication all the way around.
Yes. And so when as a dad, a lot of times we make assumptions. We don't pause, we don't consider all the facts. We don't even know all the facts.
Right. Right.
We don't even ask to find out what the facts are.
That's an even bigger problem. Yep.
That's a bigger problem. And so we end up, getting upset and then finding out later at dinner that our kid was late or something because they got an award. And it's like we look like a dummy, right? But to take this to like sports and performance, inevitably in a game, it doesn't matter if it's a individual sport or team sport. The momentum goes against you. Let's take golf. Got a bad bounce. It's a water sprinkler head and ends up going in the water. How are you going to respond to that? How are you going to respond like watching the NHL playoffs? Man, these guys like to use their sticks and knock people's teeth out sometimes. How do you respond? Because somebody could get a double penalty and be out for 4 minutes. Somebody's going to be going and seeing his dentist. But it's like, can you keep your composure in those moments? Most guys can't. And when you got the ball in your hand, so to speak, or the puck you're the one that has the chance to score. That pausing allows you to have more clarity in how to perform.
It's the only thing we can control. I can't control the outcome. I can't control other people. I can't control the situation. I can only control me. And overwhelmingly, we abdicate that power. In the moment, we go, no, I don't have that power. It is what it is. No, we can choose to pause. We can choose to have control. We can't control the stimulus. It's going to come from wherever it's going to come from. I can't control that. What I can control is what I do with that stimulus.
Have you written your book called The Pause yet?
Say it again.
Have you written The Pause?
Not yet. Not yet.
That's the next one.
It should be coming.
Okay, so you read 5 to 7 books a month.
Business books, yeah.
Okay, it's very similar to jumping out of a plane 288 times. It's different because when you approach a book, you're looking for things differently. You're trying to figure out how can this book and its message make a difference in my life instead of just reading a book. So how do you approach reading a book? I know it sounds crazy. Probably never been asked that before. But after 6,000 or 7,000 books, how do you read a book?
You know what? A lot of times I read really fast. So a lot of times when I find a book or someone refers a book or, hey, have you read this? I go screaming through it really fast. But if it makes an impact or it catches me and goes, oh, there's some really good stuff in there, I go back through it much, much slower with a journal. And then I'm studying it. And a lot of times if I go back that way, I'll buy a second copy of the book because I know I'm going to completely obliterate one by highlighting and underlining and tabs and, folded pages over and whatever. But I'm at a point now where I believe that putting good stuff in constantly, focusing on putting good stuff into the top of our hopper, in the top of ourself, in the top of our mug that we were talking the other day, right? So that the overflow, I'm not ever pouring out of my mug. So I keep putting that good stuff in and putting that good stuff in. But I'm at a point where I will read stuff that I know I don't agree with, which most people don't do, right? They're looking for, oh, I believe that. No, I don't think that's true. So I won't read that book, right? And I'm like, no, I'm going to read that book. Why? Because what it's going to do is challenge what I believe. It's going to challenge what I think, and it's going to push me back and make me defend why do I believe it that way. So it's helping me expand my mind in terms of what I have a better idea. And maybe by the time I finish reading, it doesn't overhaul my thought process and, oh, I completely changed my belief. Probably not. But what it will do is give me a way better defense of why I believe what I believe, because it's forced me to do that. Right. Or maybe it augments it a little bit. I'm like, oh, you know what? I never thought of it that way before. That's brilliant. So maybe it tweaks it a little bit so my belief is more accurate to me, if that makes sense. And so I'm looking for, when I read, I'm looking for stimulation, because I think there's 4 different stages of books, 4 different ways people look at a book. Some people just don't read. No interest in reading, just don't read. Then there's people that love books. So they have big libraries of, they've never cracked one open, but they love how they look. Oh, I just love the way a library looks. It's beautiful. The next step up are people that love books, but they like to read books. And so they voraciously read or they slowly read, but they like books. They like reading books. They do that. But they don't do anything with the information they just read, which makes them on the same level as the illiterate that couldn't read the book in the first place because it's going to make the same impact in their life. And then there's people like me that go, you know what? Not only am I going to read it, I'm going to study it, and then I'm going to let that stuff implement into my life. And so the pieces that I think I can use right now, great. If it augments the way I think or believe in a certain area or the way I respond in certain situations or things I'm saying, right? I think there's not a lot of new stuff. A lot of it is just the awareness of hearing it for the first time. So when my wife, she's not big into personal development, but when we read stuff or hear stuff, she goes, oh, you know what? That's Zig Ziglar. Oh, look, that's Jim Rohn. Oh, look, that's Tony Robbins. She identifies it even because she's heard it so much through me that when she hears a new thing, I go, hey, let's listen to this together. Okay. She picks out because it's not new. It's repackaged in a different voice. And that's why when we say, and I like, again, as a suicide survivor, being able to go, no, the world needed to hear maybe exactly the same thing you've been preaching, but they needed to hear it with my voice and with my spin and my personality attached to it. Same words, but with my personality. And so we need to be able to put the information in, find what works for you. I know people that hate some of the people I love, and I know people that love some of the people I hate in terms of, and I don't hate authors and whatnot and speakers and whatever, but my point is, some of them can't listen to it because they throw the baby out with the bathwater and go, the presentation of it loses me for whatever reason. This one's too amped up. That one's not amped up enough, whatever. So we all need to be able to put our message out with our personality. The world needs to hear it with our personality attached to it. So that's why I read the way I do. Partly because Zig Ziglar told me to be successful, all I had to do was 3 things. And one of those 3 things was read 4 to 6 books a month. And I figured if 4 to 6 was good, 5 to 7 would be better. I was always that find out what they tell you to do that'll work and do just like 10% more. So that's where I got that from.
Okay. So you brought up the idea that you're a suicide survivor, which those words don't normally go together, typically, right? So would you mind sharing what got you to the point that you attempted to take your own life? And on the reciprocal side, after you didn't die, what lessons did you learn that you would like to share?
We don't have enough time for that.
I know we don't.
You know what? I was an Energizer bunny for 30 years. Go, 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 go. We were taught it was selfish to look after yourself first. So I was teaching self-care, but not doing any, which I think is a common theme for a lot of us. But after 3 decades of that, my body said, hey, I'm out. And I was bedridden for 2 years. And when I say my body was done, our ensuite was 30 feet, 20 feet from the bed. And I would fall down 2 or 3 times trying to get to the bathroom because I was done. But when you put an Energizer bunny in a space where they can't move, it gets dark in a hurry. And so I felt like I was a millstone around my wife's neck. And if she didn't have to deal with my stuff, she would be better off. And what I learned was, and I look back at it, Papa was gifting me experience I needed to get my mission done because I didn't understand really high EQ I had. Understanding deep depression and suicide, I just didn't understand. And so he allowed me to go through that. Now, he also showed up in my bathroom when I needed him to be there and saved me that day in a really tangible way. Again, that's a bigger story, but essentially all suicide is doing is taking your own pain and sadness and putting it on everybody else that you love. It doesn't take it away. And so where that has led is that I have a real deep appreciation and I put out that vibration a lot. It seems to come a lot where people plug into that. And I make that connection. And the gentleman that put my tattoo, semicolon, but I'm heart centric, the gentleman that put it on my wrist asked me recently if my tattoo was working the way I had hoped. And I relayed a quick story to him that I was in a Starbucks and had reached out to tap my debit card to pay for my drink. And my sleeve came up just enough she could see it. And she didn't say anything, but her eyes filled up with tears instantly. And she pulled her ear forward and she had a little tattoo of a semicolon behind her ear. And it instantly connected us, deeply connected us without having to say a word. And so, where it's taught me is that I think if we could go back and interview the people that were successful, 5%, 90 to 95% of them would have changed their mind. But because of the method they chose, they were on for the ride. And people that have survived, I've talked to many, I've heard interviews with many that go, as soon as I let go of that bridge, as soon as my hands released and I knew I was off, I didn't want to do it anymore. It's very, and the challenge is we don't, and that's part of my mission is to make sure the awareness, guys know where to go. I didn't know where to go, right? The word stigma, I hate that word. And I know hate's a strong word. I hate the word stigma because it's a sanitized, civilized word we use so we don't have to admit what we're doing. And what we're doing is just being judgmental. If you pull the word stigma out and put the word judgment in anywhere you find it, way more honest, way more accurate. And it goes to the heart of what we're doing. I'm saying I'm better than you because I didn't have to deal with that. Now I have a whole whack of my own crap to deal with, but that's beside the point. I didn't deal with that, so I'm better than you. And I'm like, no, that's crap. You're not. No, none of us are. Things that you deal with, demons you have, maybe I don't deal with. Demons I have, you don't deal with. So nothing makes it special. The point is, I need to be able to get the awareness out around where do I go, especially guys. And that brings us kind of into the vault, that area for me. When clients will call me that, they called me the vault. Why? Because they were able to open their vault where they tuck everything away, all their deep secrets and whatever. We all have our own. They opened theirs and they were felt safe to do that, not judged, talking to me. And they emptied their vault into my vault. And I'm trained enough to not let that emotionally change me or hurt me in any way. But I put it all in and then I close it up and it goes away. And I take that off without, and they know that. They know it's not going anywhere, right? But the Vault Confidential is the email address. That's why it's like that, because it's it allowed me, and especially with suicide, it's something that, we got to stop the stigma. We got to stop the stigma. No, stop the judgment, first of all. It's not stigma. Number one. And number two, the more I talk about it, the less power it has over me. It heals me. And people see that and hear that and go, I can't believe he shared something so intimate and so personal. And a buddy of mine in a restaurant recently, he said, I don't think that works that way, that women are more in tune to that than men. And I literally stood up in the restaurant. I said, I'll be right back. And I walked over to 3 different women, complete strangers, and like, hey, I'm just doing a quick survey. How are you doing today? And they all told me, but the third one told me she'd been diagnosed with cancer 3 weeks before. And I got back to the table and he's like, I'm shocked that woman told you something so personal. I'm like, what's the downside? There's no downside. What am I going to do? Stand there and go, sucks to be you? Yeah, that's not happening. Right. And people that judge me because I got to that place, it says more about them than it does about me. It has nothing to do with me. What they're saying is that they can't conceive being that transparent and vulnerable. And my brain goes, no, I want to be approachable. And I want guys, and especially guys, to know, hey, this is a safe place with no judgment. You can come and plug in and get the tools you need to live your own life the way you need to and deal with all the emotion that you already have that you don't know what to do with because we were never taught to do that, and be able to unload in a place where it's supportive. It's not going anywhere. There's no excuses. There's no audience. No one listening to it. And I'm not letting them off the hook. So I'm not going to take their BS excuses and lies they give to themselves even. No, come on. Let it out. I'm giving you amnesty. Let it out. No repercussion whatsoever, right? Our police force up here, and I'm in Canada. Once in a while, they'll do that. Hey, bring your weapons to us, handgun, long gun, whatever. Doesn't matter what the story is. We will not ask any questions. You can sign off and it just goes away. And they get a lot of that. But I'm giving them that space in that time and during the program or during the one-on-one or however we're connecting. You've got amnesty. Drop it. Set it down. You have a water bottle in front of you, Craig. Yes?
Yes.
Is it heavy?
It's getting lighter the more I drink it.
But if I say to you, hold it up as high as you can. As high as you can. Okay? I'll let you know when you can bring it down. The point is, it's not about how heavy what we're carrying is. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. It's how long you carry it. That's the problem. Because if you hold your arm up there long enough, eventually within very short order, it's numb. It starts to have negative implication. Why? Because you've held on to it too long. You're carrying it around too long. And so I give people, guys in particular, the opportunity to set it down, put the baggage down. Don't carry it. There's no point to that. It's in the past. It's over. Your past does not define you. And we get this thing where you know what? And again, we've got stress and anxiety because of the past, and we've got anxiety because of the future. I mean, there's not much wonder we can't focus right here to make a foul shot. I'm like, I'm letting everybody down, right? All the practice, my coach is going to rip my head up and shit down my neck. This isn't going to be going well, and I can't control that. He didn't maintain control because he probably doesn't have the tools to do it, to hang on to master control of himself. We want to control everything else, but we don't spend any time or energy or money mastering control of us.
Okay, Gord, something that's coming through to me. Well, number one, I found this out from you. The semicolon represents.
It's the international sign for suicide survivor.
Yes, I did not know that. And why is it a semicolon?
Because when we write, you get to the end of a sentence, you put a period in, and you go, oh, wait, I got some more to say, and you use a semicolon, and you continue to write. So I could have put a period in my life, and I didn't.
Okay, the semicolon is also representative of resetting. It's representative of you get a reset. When you skydive, you reset. When you speak it to someone else, you get a reset. In your case, you're the vault. When people tell you, they reset. There is power in resetting. And when I get to, if I'm holding my water bottle up, and it may not weigh very much, but when I bring my arm down, I get to reset. Is it human designed? Why do we need to reset?
Because we lose focus on what the future is about. It's kind of a weird thing. When we look at all the other stuff going on, right? We're sports guys. And when a player or a team gets into a slump, what do they say to them? Return to what?
Fundamentals.
Fundamentals, the basic. That's a reset.
That's a reset.
That's a reset, right? Vince Lombardi used to stand at the beginning of the they're pros, they're NFL players. At the beginning of the very first practice of the preseason, he would hold up a football and go, "This is a football." And they're like, "Yeah, no crap. We understand, coach, right?" But he was taking it all the way back, reset. Doesn't matter what you've done up till now. At the beginning of the season, Toronto Argonauts in our CFL, which is like your NFL, they won the national championship last year. But right now, they're in preseason training camp. It all sets at scratch again. It's not what did you do last year? We want to build on those good things that we struggled with. We want to work on those things. But at the end of the day, I don't care that you threw 3 TD passes in the final game to win the championship. Today, it doesn't matter. You have to earn that accolade every day. You've got to earn it over and over. Like you hear people give you that's why people say, what's your resume? It doesn't matter. I can give you all the certifications. I can tell you all the wonderful things I did. But at the end of the day, does it matter? And I had a very elite business guy say to me, yeah, it matters. I'm like, really? Yes, it matters. I'm like, why does it matter? Well, I need to know wait a second. Do you know somebody in your life that's got certifications out there, yin yang, and that you wouldn't inflict on your dog? And he started to laugh. He goes, oh, yeah, I do. All right, great. Do you have people in your life that have 0 certifications, never been to higher learning in any way, shape, or form, that have massively transformed your life? And he paused for a second. He kind of teared up. He goes, yeah, my grandma used to do that to me. Doesn't matter what my resume means. Nothing. You don't care. It doesn't matter. What you're looking for is the transformation. What you're looking for is the result in the end. That's what you want. And so if we can't focus in that space, if I use on a spiritual side, when Jesus said to Peter during the storm, come here, Jesus standing on the water, and he's looking at Peter, come here. And Peter's like looking, oh, the storm, no, little, 10-foot waves of water. No, I'm not going. Come here. And so he did. He stepped out on the water. As long as he was looking at Jesus, he stayed on the top. And then a crack of lightning and thunder, and he went. Why? Because he took his eyes off where the prize was. He took his eyes off where the power was coming from. And we do that all the time. We take our eyes off. Why do we struggle? Because we took our eyes off where the goal was. Where am I want to go? If we get a massive big bump from somebody we'll recognize and we're aware of that. No, I can't do that. That's not right. But if we get little bumps, oh, it's just a little bump. No, I can do little bump. Eventually, I end up in a place that I did not want to be, and would never have chosen to be there. And if somebody had taken me from here to here, I'm like, no, wait a second. I recognize that. But when it's these small little itty bitty, I don't recognize, right? Even a plane. If I come from where I am in Ontario to where you are in California, more than 90% of the time, that plane is off course. What brings it back? The autopilot. There's a program in there, and it knows this is where the goal is. This is where the little funny pin thing is on our GPS, right? And the wind pushes it off in all directions, up and down. It pushes it off. The subconscious, for us, it's subconscious, is our autopilot, and it'll keep doing it. So silly little things like when we say, oh, I want to lose weight. No, you do not. You do not want to do that. Why? Because the words we use are powerful. It's not lost unless it has an owner. So when I say I want to lose weight, I do all the right things. I may drop some weight. But eventually, if I don't change the paradigm in my head, When I look in the mirror, my subconscious goes, this is not who we are. And no matter how much I exercise and how much water I drink and how many salads I have, I gain weight. And I'm like, what's going on? My subconscious is going, this is not who we are. I'm going to make us who we are again. And so I don't want to lose weight. I want to release weight. I just want to let it go. It's not mine anymore. It's gone. But that little bit of that one word, lost, will influence, because our subconscious mind has no sense of humor it's aware of, first of all, but it also has no idea that it's a figure of speech, or you're joking, or you meant let it go, but that's not what you said. It can't interpret any of that. It's very literal. So how we program our subconscious mind that has no gatekeeper. So you and I are talking, but if there's a radio playing in the background, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on you, but my subconscious is taking all of that in. And when we get off, I go, I need to have a Big Mac. Why do I feel like I need a Big Mac? Well, because while I was talking to you, there were 3 commercials for McDonald's on the radio that I wasn't paying attention to, but it's going in. And that's what's affecting us. And we're not able to hold on to in a positive way, right? With all obvious stuff, we'll catch that. But the not so obvious stuff goes straight in. And our subconscious is that autopilot. So it's going to hold on to us.
The subconscious is so powerful in everything we do. It's so relevant to our identity, how we show up, how we perform. If the media and the fans and the coaches say to a player, hey man, you're the man, but the player doesn't think he's the man,
Right. He won't be the man.
in that biggest moment, he'll choke.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Well, I think it was you that was talking to me when we and I were talking the last time about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
It changes owner, change all the people. I think he's gone now. The one trainer guy that was looking at, I think he retired just recently, but was the last sort of person that was there when all that happened. But that's their identity. Those 4 losses in the Super Bowl back to back to back to back has set their identity. And now it doesn't matter who's there until they change that identity. It will always mess with them.
Okay, I go back to my power of one again. What's the one step if you were advising the Buffalo Bills organization and you had the ear of the owner, the general manager, the starting quarterback, maybe the president of the organization? What's the next best first step for that organization?
They need to reset. They need to reset their identity. I would sit down with the team, with the owners, with sort of like a military thing where they take all the rank off. So it doesn't matter whether you're the president or the owner, or none of that matters. Everybody sits in a room. Everybody has an equal voice, and literally sit down and go, who is it we want to be going forward from here? Forget the past, hack it all up. A record is 0-0 for the whole time we've been in the NFL. Who do we want to be? And get everybody to put input into it. And then, boil it down, boil it down, boil it down, boil it down. So you have an identity statement. I think I read you mine, but because it's coming back to worth and value. Because right at the moment, that's ingrained into their subconscious. We're not worthy, right? We're going to mess it up. Doesn't matter how good it is, we're going to mess it up. And so to come up with something that they all buy into, because they all helped create it, this is who we are going forward. And I would put it up everywhere. Make sure the guys have copies of it. It's in their car, it's in their house, it's in their wherever they happen to be, it's everywhere. It's written in massive big letters on the side of the wall in the training rooms. It's written everywhere. This is who we are. So they see it over and over. And I would make sure, and I did this with clients just recently, I said to them, I think I read that to you. That's my worth and value declaration. But I said to my clients, I want you to write something like that for yourself. And what I want you to do is to say it to yourself, looking in the mirror first thing in the morning and last thing at night for 30 days. I will guarantee you, if the Buffalo Bills did that as an organization, especially right now, while they're still in training camp, they're still trying to figure out who they are this year. They sit down as a group and figure that out. And then the players that get chosen for the team say that to themselves every morning, every night, every morning, every night until the season starts. They will have a completely different identity by the time the season starts. And whether they win or lose is not what matters, right? More often than not, they're going to win with that than lose with that. But at the end of the day, that's not the point. What they've done is change their identity. This is who we are going forward. This is who we choose to be. This is how we're going to show up as a group. Like goosebumps. This is how we're going to show up, right? And because it doesn't matter. Everybody else has their own identity. All the other teams have their own identity, right? Then they walk in. Cowboys walk in. They've got a certain identity because of what their history has been. right? Now, sometimes that gets into a field of, and even though I love them and their helmets back there, they can get arrogant, right? Oh, where's all that in a bag of chips? Well, no, you're no better than anybody else that's in the league. Every year somebody's the best. That's great, right? But whether or not anybody else recognizes that or not, whether or not the fans understand that or not, whether or not the record shows that or not, their understanding of their own identity is absolutely foundational to them being able to move forward from that space, and will dictate, if they continue to do the identity they've been running with, it'll continue to mess with them, because it's built into their DNA. As soon as they shake hands with somebody, some guy gets drafted, he's all excited at the right, but he shakes the hand of that team, puts that jersey on, that energy transfers from the team into him, and now he may not ever reach his potential because he's taken on that identity of the other team, of that team.
I 1000% agree with you. And I think the subconscious, if you don't reset, your subconscious is looking for justification that you're not who you say you are.
Right.
You're not because all it takes is a bad play, an injury, a certain situation goes down, and everybody says these words.
Right.
Here we go again.
Exactly right.
Here we go again.
Yep.
And it's like, we thought, so I think the biggest thing that professional organizations and college intercollegiate sports programs, the biggest mistake they make is that they hire a coach who's been successful somewhere, probably not as a head coach, most likely as a coordinator, and he's going to come in and bring his culture. He's going to bring his philosophy. This is how we're going to do it. But he's not changing the identity of the organization, and he's not seeking to understand the identities, the collective identities of all his players. Absolutely. So even though the players may be in the meetings and getting, coached up on, hey, this is how we're going to be champions. This is how, this is our standard, all those types of things.
Yep.
The player's not buying in, and it doesn't show up until it matters, which is a big moment in a big game. And then all of a sudden it doesn't turn out like the way they were hoping it would.
Right. Well, that's an expectation thing, right? We all have well, I don't have, but most people have expectations. Certainly on a team, that coach expects, the ownership expects that new coach to produce a result. The coach expects his coordinators to help him generate the result. The coaching staff expects their players to do a certain thing a certain way. That's all ego. On all of those levels, it's ego. Expect is, this is what I deserve. And a lot of times we don't even articulate that to the person. And then we do something neurotic, like being pissed off when they don't actually achieve what I wanted. I didn't tell them that I needed them to, right? Disappointment by definition is an unmet expectation. And all I'd have to do with the team I was working with was to say to them, I said to the owner, take the word expectation off everything. We don't have any expectations, none. That doesn't mean we don't have high standard. That doesn't mean we don't anticipate they're going to do what we want them to do. The thing is, I take all the things, stroke the word expectation off the top and write agreements underneath it. And the owner was, what does that mean? What does it matter? Everything is the same. I said, I know. But when you say agreement, what I do is go down the list of things with the players and have them initial every single one as they go down, that they will adhere to that, what was used to be an expectation. We expect you to do this. No, I am going to give you an agreement. Do you agree to do and to live up to this? Yes. Great. I agree and will live up to supporting you in that. And then we both autograph on it. People will try way harder to live out to their own word than they will to try and meet somebody else's expectation. It had nothing to do with them. They didn't agree to it, right? So all of a sudden, to your point, I now have buy-in from everybody because they were part of that, putting it together, and they've agreed to do that. You're not going to smoke pot for the season. Okay. Do you agree to do that? Yes. Great. And if there's going to be a discussion about it later because you get caught smoking weed in your dorm, the conversation, it has nothing to do with the weed. What it has to do with is him not living up to his word.
Bingo.
Which changes the whole dynamic of the conversation.
Gordon, we have flown by. We could talk for 3 hours.
I was going to say we could do a whole day of this.
Oh, we could do it all day. But here's what I want to do. I want to serve the greater good, and I want to serve our audience. I want to serve those people, mostly male, that are struggling with whether they can keep going or not. And it sometimes seems easier just to take the shortcut and in their life. What are the signs that people can see in people in those states of minds where they can help them get help?
Again, a wonderful question. There is no answer to that.
No?
No. Well, I lost one of my childhood friends about 18, well, I guess it was the end of last year, that he actually did. About 18 months before that, hadn't, just life had separated us, but we spent we were in grade school and high school together. We did everything together. About 18 months before he gave his life back to Papa, he had said to me, he reached out and said, "Can we talk?" And I'm like, "Yep." So we had a good conversation around stuff. I said, "How can I support you?" And he said, "Can you just reach out to me every day and let me know that I'm not a complete piece of crap? Because that's how I feel." And I'm like, "No problem. Happy to do it." So I did every day, every day, every day. And about once every 3 weeks or so, we had a live conversation. The morning that we had a live conversation, he sounded fine. We talked about what he was planning to do. He was looking to go back to Africa on a trip that the university was like, he had plans in the future. So it wasn't that. He wasn't giving away all his stuff. He wasn't, smiling and joking and later that same day did, like I said, gave his soul back to Papa. So it becomes more of I said it devastated me. For 3 or 4 days, I was just a mess because I kept saying to my wife, did I let my best friend down? Did I fail him somehow? And she's like, no, that's a choice he made in the moment. That's a choice he made. It has nothing to do with me. But what we can do to answer your question is to reach out to the people around us that look the strongest. The people around us, I think Robin Williams, nobody would ever have said, because we didn't know he was struggling with some medical stuff too, right? But nobody would have ever, they didn't check on why. He's making everybody else laugh. He's all happy-go-lucky. The most powerful, and that's a weird statement, and as we're talking, that's coming to me, that anybody I told, once I finally mentioned it and finally released and talked about it, because it took more than a year for me to actually even admit I had even tried. But anybody, when they found out, they were like, "I'm so sorry you went through that. Sorry I didn't know." But that does not surprise me based on who we know you are. And because I'm a performance guy, I was always a performance guy. So you're push, 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 push. That's what they saw. 300 miles an hour with my hair on fire, helping everybody else. That's what they saw. What they didn't see was when that stopped and my ability to do that stopped, because they're used to me just being the go, go, go guy. It never occurred to them, wait a second. Maybe he's struggling. And even if that's not present, they're high performance guys. Reach out to them. Are you okay? And when they say I'm fine, no, stop. Don't give me the polish. I'm not, and I say that with people all the time. I'm looking, do I want to know what you do and how you do it? Yeah. Well, can we talk about sports and weather? Yeah. There's a place for that. But I'm at a place in my life where I'm like, I want to know who you're being and what your worth and value is, what you perceive it to be. And then I want to know how I can help get that into alignment so that you have flow. And then what you do becomes an extension of who you be. But I can't find that out unless I go deep on the relationship. I can't have 1,000 relationships that are an inch deep and not, I need the depths. To answer your question, there aren't things you can look for. I mean, the obvious ones, maybe, right? Oh, they're giving all their stuff away. Okay, there's a little bit of a red flag there. But most of the time, that's not what's happening. And so to be able to check in with people all the time, that they understand that you give a shit about them, you care about them, aside from everything else. It's going to be on my tombstone. It's in my will. I always knew he loved me. Love is my life word, is my life word. I want people to be able to say, and part of that's coming from, I always know Papa loves me. But I want anybody that runs into me or has conversation or has any interaction with me to be able to walk away and go, we may not see eye to eye on everything. We may disagree and whatever. But at the end of the day, I know he gives a crap about me. He loves me. And it's not an I want you. It's a you're human, I'm human, just brotherly agape. It lacks judgment. And I don't mean that in the sense that I'm half crazy, although depending on who you talk to, that could be true. It's about, I lead with love. Sometimes it's tough love, but I'll lead with love. I'm not leading with judgment. I'm not judging them for the stuff that either they can't do anything about, right? Race, gender, all the different things that lots of people want to judge people for. But there's no judgment. So I'm leading with love. I'm leading with, I love you. It wildly opens doors for people to go, you know what? He cares about me. It's a safe place. I can open up there. I can open my vault there. And so checking in with people all the time, especially the people you have deep relationships with, and striving to go deeper on the ones you do have. so that now you have the right to say, don't give me the I'm fine. I want to know. Tell me. Well, you don't want to know if you no, I'm asking because I want to know. It's not a how are you? We ask to be polite. And when someone actually tells us, we're like, oh, why I'm sorry I asked, right? But well, I've had people look at me when they say to me, how are you? And I'm like, you don't really want to know. And they're like, I wouldn't have asked if I didn't want to know. And I burst into tears and go, okay, but I want that to be, not that we burst into tears all the time. The point is, I want guys especially to know, hey, you matter. You're not broken. I say it to guys you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. We're all in that same boat. We're all in that same boat. There's nothing wrong. You're perfect. Papa sees you perfect just the way you are. No matter what you're thinking, no matter what you've done, no matter what your history is, no matter what you're doing right now, none of it matters. Successful, it doesn't matter. He sees you successful. So if I take that view and use that lens to look at the people around me, the costume now doesn't matter. The way they show up doesn't matter. I want them to know and feel and that I care deeply about them. So the short answer is I'm going to have a deep enough relationship with them that I can ask the questions. And they're going to know, hey, you know what? If push comes to shove, and if I get stuck and I don't know where to go, I know I can call Gordon. I can reach out to the vault and he'll understand. He'll be there for me to listen and to take whatever it is. If I have to vent, he'll teach me tools to be able to deal with all these types of things. He's my guy. I know where to go because that's what I didn't have. In the moment, I had no idea where to reach out. I was in the financial world. I couldn't tell anybody. No one's giving their money to a suicidal guy. So I couldn't tell anybody. And I didn't know who I could reach out to. I want to be that guy. I want to make sure they know the awareness around, hey, you can reach out. There's people to reach out to. And it may not be me. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's somebody else in their life. But there's somebody that loves them enough and cares about them enough that will listen to them when they get stuck. We need to do that for each other.
Amen, brother. Somebody listening, they can find in the show notes where to find you, but just share real quick where they can find you on the internet.
If you go to, and it's a weird thing, my show is called The Long Bearded Guy, just kind of bizarre, but you can listen to all my stuff there. It's on YouTube. If you go to Inspired Choices Network, you'll find it. You can email me directly at thevaultconfidential@gmail.com. I'm on, again, if you put The Long Bearded Guy, I'm rebranding for the Vault, but if you put The Long Bearded Guy in anywhere, any social media, you'll find me.
Gordon, thank you so much today.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Hey, it's Craig Domann, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.